always just, I wasn't willing to change. And then when I got to 10th grade, I just looked myself in the mirror and I said, I'm not going to be that same person I was before, because I was doing this for years. So I'm like, what is wrong? Everything, it can't be the teachers, it can't be the students, it can't be anybody else. It has to be me, because the situation changed from elementary to middle school and now it's high school. So it's different schools, different kids, different people, different situation, different teachers, all that stuff. But the same exact thing is happening. So I knew, like, all right, cool, it's my fault. I got to work on me and I got to change that stuff.
Welcome to the Ridiculously Blessed podcast. I'm your host, Tim Jackson, and today I have with me a special guest, CEO Ashon. What's up, man?
What's going on, boss? What's going on?
Not much, not much. I met Ashon back a few months ago in Atlanta. I went to content creation boot camp and met this brother the first night, and he was like, "I do options." I was like, "Oh, what's options?" And then he started telling me, and then in conversation, he was like, "Yeah, I'm 18." I was like, "Whoa, 18, man, you doing options?" He's like, "Yeah, I did this for." So I was like, "Yo, we got to talk to this guy." So Sean, go ahead, introduce yourself to the people.
Of course. What's going on, everybody? My name is Ashon Bennett, but people call me CEOAshon, Mr. CEO, whatever you want to call me. But I'm an 18-year-old entrepreneur. I trade options in the stock market, and I'm now, venturing into, the business side of it, from teaching people. I specialize in teaching young adults and teenagers how they can get into the stock market as well, and how they can make $100 to $1,000 a day trading options.
Man, see, this just blows me away because I think back to when I was 18, got out of school, I had no clue which way I was going to go. What got you into in trading?
I feel like I got put myself into a position where I wanted to find something else. I wanted to find some more, like, I wanted to get into entrepreneurship, but I didn't know how, because, as you know, there's hundreds of ways to get into entrepreneurship and, be your own self-employed or be a boss. So I tried to find what those different avenues were. Like, I've dabbled in, like, wholesaling. Then I got into e-commerce. Then I decided to stick to one thing, and I was like, all right, it's gonna be options. It's gonna be the stock market. So that's, I just kind of picked one thing and then just decided, all right, I'm gonna master it. And that's kind of how I kind of progressed and grew. And now that's kind of where I'm at right now.
So right now, when you see, let's say you run into somebody who's 17, 18, and they're like, "Hey, man, I want to get started in this." What's the first step that you want them to take?
I want them to be able to do their own research first. Like, if you come to me, unless you already have a certain amount of capital anyway to invest in yourself and also invest into your trading account, then the conversation is different. So, for example, with me, I didn't have as much capital to go buy like $1,000 course or something like that to learn options. I only had like three figures, like cut like 500 to my name. So I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna use this for my trading, but in order for me to actually get to a certain level, I actually have to do the diligence on my own. I have to research on my own. I have to study this on my own, and that's what ended up having to do. So I literally just, like, from actually on Christmas Day, I actually, this is what I told my parents. I said, don't give me anything else but a course for Christmas. I don't want shoes, games, toys, none of that stuff. I was 17 at the time, and I told them to give me a course. They got me a course on stock market investing, and it was through Wall Street Trapper, stock market investing course. It was $297. They got it for me. I said, cool. I'm gonna use this to the best of my ability. It didn't teach me how to trade options. However, it taught me how to research a company, like how to understand a company, how to break it down. So I was like, all right, cool. I can't use this to, like, day trade or scalp or something like that, but there has to be a way I can use this. So I did research, I understood, and I looked up, like, what are options, how do you get into it, how do you set up your account. I made, because I was 17 at the time, so I couldn't make my account myself because I had to be 18. So I told my parents, I said, all right, cool, I need y'all to make an account for me and I'm gonna put my money in it. So I just need y'all to set it up for me. My mom didn't do it, so I told my dad, okay, do it for me. Like, you for me, because I really need, like, I'm serious. Like, I need to, get into this, and I'm willing to do this. So they set it up for me, and when they set it up, I put my money in it. but I did my own research based on like, all right, what am I going to do step by step? Like, how do I do it? What is the stock market? And I understood. I tried to get as much information as I possibly could, and I
Mhm.
wanted to implement it as fast as I possibly could, and to the point where actually I started December 25th, and I made my first trade December 29th, my first like trade, and that trade was a swing trade. And swing trade basically means that I trade longer than 2 days. So there's two types of trades that you can do. Like two types, like it's day trading, which you're trading within 1 day,
Mhm.
and then swing trading is when you're trading longer than 1 day. So if you trade 2 days to a week or a month or a couple months, that's swing trading because you're trading longer than 1 day. So I knew that I couldn't particularly make a lot of money from a day trade because because the percentages aren't as much, it doesn't give me enough time to make a certain amount of percentages. Typically, it's not the chances of that are lower because if you're trading within a day, there's only so much movement in the market that can happen with that amount of money that I had at my disposal. So I said, all right, the most effective thing I could do was swing trade because that's what the course taught me. It taught me how to not swing trade, but it taught me how to understand the company's value long term, and I used that to make my first trade. So the first trade that I got, the first stock I got into was called Neo. It's an electric car company, EV, and the price that I got it at, it was about, I think it was at like $47. And I'm gonna tell you how the option that I did. So I did a $44 call option, and I had it set up for about a month, like a month expiration, and my strike price was 44. So I'm just give you, and this is probably a little moving too fast, but I'm just gonna give you this too. That's called in the money. So if I got it, if the price of the stock is $47, right? And let's say I get it at let's say let's Black Friday. Let's just put it in this terminology. It's Black Friday. I get it at a discount. So if I buy it at 44, when I say $44 strike price, that means I theoretically got all of those shares of Neo for $3 less than what the actual price is right now. So if it's $47, they allow me the option to get it for $44, but I have to pay a little bit more to actually acquire those
Mhm.
actual, like that actual contract, which was $580 for me. Cost me $580 for that contract. So when I bought that, I bought it in the money, meaning I got it at a discount. So if it goes up, the chances of me making the chances of it's less risky for me because I already have something called intrinsic value, which basically means that I got it cheaper than the actual price is. So if I sell it, I'll be able to make a profit. Um, at the end of it. So I'll be able to make a profit because I have value already because since I got at a discount. So think of it like that. So I'm just gonna go, and I don't want to go too far ahead. I actually want to go. If you mind if I go back a little
Yeah.
bit so
No,
I can
no.
kind
Go
of,
ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah. So I don't want to like, yeah, because I don't want this to go over anybody's head or yours either. So in the stock market, there's a stock. A stock is basically ownership of a company. It's basically if you buy a share of Apple at 150,
Mhm.
if you buy that, you own the stock. So if you buy and sell that, so if you buy it at 150 and then you sell it at 151, then you make $1 profit on that. You traded it. You traded a stock because you bought the stock for 150, sold it for 151. That's called a trade. That's called trading stocks. What I do is I trade options. Options are basically contracts that allow you to theoretically hold a certain amount of shares, but you have to pay a certain amount. So, for example, if I wanted to buy an Apple options contract, instead of paying 150 for a stock, they allow me to pay a certain amount to own 100 shares of the company.
Mhm.
So if instead of buying one stock for 150, I theoretically could own 100, which is about $15,000 worth, and I only have to pay maybe like, just for example, like 200, 300, $400 for that.
Mhm.
I basically could spend 200, $300 to own $15,000 worth of Apple.
Wow.
That's basically what options allows you. It allows you to leverage more. So the caveat to options is, unlike stocks, you have a time limit to how long you could actually hold that. So you have a set time limit, basically saying, all right, cool. With a stock, you can buy it now and hold it for 10 years or 20 years, and then if it goes up like $300, $400, something like that, just to give an example, then you can sell it and you make a profit. But you don't have no time limit when you buy a stock. But when you buy options, you have time limits. That's what determines like, all right, cool. If I want to day trade, I might get an expiration, for example, like of a 2 day expiration, a 3 day expiration, because I want to trade within this time period because I know that after about 1 to 3 days or something like that, based on this contract that I'm actually getting, I have this much time to do it. After that time, it'll go straight to zero.
Oh,
So here's what I mean. This basically, in terms of options expiration, think of it like your phone battery. If you have a 1 day expiration, that means at the end of that day, so the market opens at 9:30 and it closes at 4. From 9:30 to 4, that's, let's say you're using your phone, quote unquote. It's
hmm
at 100%, and at the end of that day at 4 o'clock, it's going to be worth zero at 0% battery,
right.
because from that time period it took 100% all the way down and it depletes gradually. So it basically gives you a time limit on how much value you can actually incur based on the time limit that you set. So the longer the time limit, the essentially the more time you have to make your money, like in the market. But with that, you have to pay more. So like for example, if I want to have like if I wanted to swing trade, like when I swing traded my option contract for 580, it cost me a little bit more because I was holding it for a month. But if I was holding it for a day, that would be way cheaper than that because there's less time for it to happen. And the reason why they do that in the stock market is because overall the stock market goes up 10% a year, about like 10, 20, like last year, actually, I think it was like about a 20% increase last year during COVID. But there's different percentages. Usually the stock market goes up every single year a certain percentage. So because they know that it goes up because it has time to grow. The businesses have time to grow, the businesses have time to develop, stuff like that. So majority of businesses are growing. So majority of the stock market is just going to grow with it. So since they know that, all right, cool. You're more likely to make money the longer you hold it, so you have to pay more.
Gotcha.
That's how they do it like that. So the less risky it is for you, the more you have to pay. The more risky it is for you, the less you have to pay. And that's why you have to kind of discern that. But for me, because of how much capital I had and the level of safety that I wanted to have and the type of trade that I wanted to do, I said, all right, I'm gonna do and in the money, which basically means it's less risky to me because I have value. I'm getting it at a discount and I can basically buy it and I'll be able to hold it for a good amount of time. So I'm not holding it for like a day, a couple of days, or a couple of weeks. I'm gonna hold it for a month and see what it happens. And it went up $22 to 66 or six at 66 point. I remember it was 66.99. It was about to hit 67, and then it started to slowly drop a little bit. I sold it when it got to like 66.99. Like once it hits that peak, I sold it. So I bought it at 580. So I paid 580 for the actual contract. I made about 400%. I think like that's like 400% on that trade, something like that. 400%. So on the actual trade, and I held that for about 2 weeks. So my birthday was January 10th, and January 11th I sold the trade. So like on my birthday, I wasn't even caring about my birthday. I was like, I'm waiting till tomorrow when the market opens so I can sell that contract. That's what I was caring about. I didn't care. The next day, the market opened at 9:30. Mind you, I'm also still in school too.
Right.
So I was still in school. I just turned 18, and the next day I had school. So I was in school, Zoom, and I had my trading set up like right there. So I sold it and I made my 2,000. And I'm just like, I just did 2,000, and I got class here. I just made $2,000, and it took me 4 days. And I'm not saying like 4 days. I'm like, oh, I'm spending an hour or two each day. Just no, like I spent like the entire day. Like even on Christmas, I think I was up until like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, going through the course because I was like, I'm gonna finish this today, and then tomorrow I'm getting to work. So in the morning I woke up immediately, like I was on something different. I was like, I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna go through like go look up a whole bunch of videos. Like, all right, I'm gonna write down questions that I have and look up videos that answer those questions. I'm gonna answer those questions. Cool. I'm gonna knock this out. Understand this, and this. And I did that 4 days straight. So day one was Christmas. I went through the whole course that day. The next day, I said, all right, cool. Let me study how to actually trade options. Cool. I learned how to do that. How do I set up my broker? Have my dad set up my broker. Cool. He set that up. How do I like what stock do I actually want to get into? and did my research on that actual company, went through the analytics of it. I checked their revenue. I checked who was their officers. I checked their, like all of that. I checked everything in terms of like their financial statements, their balance sheet, their 10K, their 10Q. These are just, when I'm saying these, and don't like, that's not
I
being
was like,
crazy, but
huh?
these 10K and 10Q is basically they're just, it's, think of it like their report card,
Gotcha.
their reports, and like, all right, cool, this is what you did for the company, this is what's going on in the company. That's basically what you can look up. So I just looked up all of that and I documented it. I had like 3 pages worth of notes for that specific company. Then when I said, all right, cool, I projected to go here in this amount of time based on everything that's coming up. All right, cool, I'm gonna get into this trade. This is a good trade to get into. The next day, December 29th, got in the trade.
Man, it's
That's
crazy.
how I started. Like, that's how I
That's
got into it.
Man, at 18, man, I'm trying to play Madden. I'm trying to
Yeah.
chill. But I was thinking back. Let's go back a little bit. So when you went to your parents, because I could imagine like my kids coming to me like, "Hey, Dad, look, instead of Christmas, this is what I want." I'd be like, "Yeah, right." So how did they react to you saying instead of gifts, I want to take this course?
um well, when I asked them about that for Christmas, they weren't as surprised as they would have been, because I started my transition to like entrepreneurship kind of in November. So something happened. I'll go back again, back to, okay. So in about October, November, I was actually, matter of fact, believe it or not, I was a normal kid. I had relationship issues as I was playing the game, all that stuff that comes with being 17, 18, all that. So it wasn't, I was in a relationship, but I had a friend, and long story short, she basically got me, she basically was with somebody, came over, and basically lied to me, and basically, long story short, cheated. So I told the guy the truth about, what's going on and stuff like that. He told me like, yo, I understand. That kind of put me in a place where I didn't really not trust people,
Hmm.
because she was the one friend I had for like 2 1 2 years. Like, we was friends like for a minute. Like, once I got to the new school, like we was friends all pretty much all of my high school. So the fact that it ended like that, off of something that was like super simple. First off, one, I know better. Two, I don't like confrontation anyway. That's two. I don't feel like dealing with all that. Like,
Yeah.
literally, actually, when I got to high school, I didn't really get into any fights. Actually, no, before, like, and I keep saying I'm gonna go back, but like going back a little farther, I was a very mischievous kid. I was very, I'm just gonna say I was very annoying. I didn't get along with kids that well. I was always getting into fights from elementary, middle school, and my ninth grade year. I was even getting into fights too. Like, I was always like in competition with people and always battling, and always just, I wasn't willing to change. And then when I got to 10th grade, I just looked myself in the mirror and I said, I'm not going to be that same person I was before,
Right.
because I was doing this for years. So I'm like, what is wrong? Everything, it can't be the teachers, it can't be the students, it can't be anybody else. It has to be me, because the situation changed from elementary to middle school, and now it's high school. So it's different schools, different kids, different people, different situation, different teachers, all that stuff. But the same exact thing is happening. So I knew, like, all right, cool, it's my fault. I got to work on me, and I got to change that stuff. And when I did change it, my 10th grade year in my new school, when I went to transfer it to a science and tech program, um, it was great. Like, I played 3 sports. I was in wrestling, football, lacrosse. I was having fun. I was enjoying myself. I started having more relationships, friends, all that stuff, and I was enjoying myself. Just being a normal kid, and that's when, kind of like going into the 12th grade year during the pandemic, we was inside and stuff. So like I was inside playing the game and stuff. Like, I would play this game called Brawlhalla, Destiny, 2K, all that stuff. So that's what I was playing. I was just, because I had nothing else to do. We worked from home. We would actually all I would have a group of people. We would get together, finish all of the work for the day, and then just go play games for the rest of the day, and just
Right.
wake up and just do whatever. So, and that was before I actually had the situation. Once I had the situation, I kind of pivoted, because that was a really, it was a, because she was okay. So she was a person where I would devote so much energy and time into, because I was like, I thought I had to. but I didn't realize like I got to prioritize myself too, because I was always prioritizing everybody else except me. So once I got to a position where I had to prioritize myself to grow, that's when I was like, all right, cool. Like I got to really focus on me, because this is um the fact that I'm focusing on somebody else is taking the energy away from me, and I'm not growing. Because now I'm stuck. I wasted 2 years essentially worrying about someone else's issues and problems and trying to help, because I thought that's my job, instead of focusing on me and helping myself grow. Because once that actually happened, it forced me to kind of, I basically kind of went like into this like shell almost. Like I was literally just like, I wasn't talking to anybody. I wasn't playing a game, none of that stuff. Like I was super not angry, but I was like very dry, like uh,
Kind of
numb, where I wasn't
withdrawn.
really
Yeah.
showing any emotion. I was just life. It is what it is. And my parents even saw it. Like I was actually doing my chores and stuff. Like they was like, "You good? Like what's going on?" Like I was literally doing what I was supposed to do, but I didn't show any emotion. Like they would ask me a question, and I'd be like, "All right, yeah, that's cool," and I would just do what I'm supposed to do. But it was very dry. I had no emotion. So because I was getting into a state of like just like realization, like I just wasted so much time. And now I figure out like, all right, like I really got to figure this out, because I'm about to be an adult. Like it's life is about to get real. Like I got to get serious now. Like I got to figure out what I want to do. And then my parents were telling me like, you're gonna like, this is what you're going to do. Like for your future, either you're gonna go to college and we're gonna pay for it, and if you don't, you have to get a job and you're out by 6 months. That's what they told me. They said either you do what we want you to do, or you have to get a job, make money, and then you're out of here in 6 months. That's basically what they were saying. I'm just like, all right, so I basically have no choice but to go to college. So I'm like, all right, cool. I got to figure out a way to not do what they want me to do. I was always trying to figure, because I usually never do what my parents tell me to do, like ever. Like they tell me iron clothes, I'll put them in the dryer on firm press, take them out of there, hang them up, because I'm like, it's a more effective. I get them ironed and they're straight, and I don't got to do any work. That seems effective to me. Let me do that. And then, because I would literally try to figure out a simpler way to do something, because I don't like, I'm very I don't like things how they're supposed to be traditionally. I just don't. I usually, that's just not me, because I'm like, I know there's something better than this, because I know if I do da 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 da. That's why I kind of put me in a bad. It's a good and a bad, because it allowed me to see potential and solutions and things. But sometimes it hindered me, because I'm so stuck and stubborn on like, oh, I want this to work. I want this to work this way, and then it ended up not, and then I got to change. So that's kind of the balance that I had to kind of find. And that's kind of where I'm at now, because after that situation happened with the, girl and the boy and all that stuff, and I got numb, I asked myself, um, I have to focus on me now, but what do I want? What do I need to do for me? Like, what do I want to do to help myself grow and stuff like that? What needs to happen? And once that happened, I said, all right, cool. I have to focus on, what do I want to be? I want to be an entrepreneur. That's something that I wanted to do. I was like, but I thought I wasn't old enough to do it. So I just started doing research and like going on YouTube and just going through videos and stuff like that. And I saw this 15-year-old that was Trey Brown Spurgo.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I saw him, I was like, yo, this kid is 15 making more than my parents combined and me. Like, and he retired his mom too. Like that's next level. So I'm thinking like, in my mind before, I'm thinking, all right, I gotta wait till I'm older before I can actually get X, Y, and Z. When I saw him do it, I'm like, there's no excuse at all. There's no excuse. I'm like, he's younger than me. He hasn't even hit puberty yet, and he's already at $1 million.
Yeah.
Like that's a flex. That, because most people flex money and chains and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Be 13 years old, retire your mom, and then be 14 and be a millionaire. Like that's a
Yeah.
flex, heavy, and that's the type of flex that I wanted to do. So I said, all right, cool. I'm gonna take this seriously, and that's kind of where I went on this. I would stay in my room, lock myself in there, and just study like different things. That's why I was kind of jumping around different entrepreneurship avenues, from wholesaling, e-commerce, looking up affiliate marketing, um, creating a clothing brand, all that's like that's I was just going through everything, because I was trying to figure out what works. Then I just decided all of them can work, but it's a matter of what I focus on. So I literally told my parents to get me a course. I didn't say what type of course. I said, give me a course on something that I can do. Just a course on entrepreneurship, something. They got me that. So I said, all right, cool. This is what I'm about to do. Run it up with that. And now, because of that, now I'm kind of in my position where it's like, all right, cool. I'm trading now. I got to do it for a long time. I'm about to hit my year mark now, so and that's super amazing because I started with 3. Now I'm at 5 figures now. I'm about to hit 6 soon, but like I had to build up to that point, and I had to put myself in a position to actually be able to earn that much and be able to like consistently grow and actually get to that point. And once I did, it was just amazing. Like it was just a like right now I'm surrounded by so many amazing people right now, and that's kind of how I started, and that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Man, that's crazy, man. Again, I keep going back to this. At 18, there's no chance that I was doing what you were doing. Super focused, super determined, driven, and like I said, in just sitting and talking to you the first time, I knew I was like, yo, this brother right here, man, need to talk to kids all over the world because it's not. That's not. I hate to say it's not normal, but it's not normal. I mean, you had other friends that could have done the same thing, and they didn't.
Yeah.
So there's something inside of you. If you're enjoying this episode of Ridiculously Blessed, remember to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. My next question is: you're a competitive person, right? You got,
Very.
yeah. I can tell you got a competitive side. So how did that help you in trading in your entrepreneurial journey?
Um, it helped me positively and negatively.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, ironically, I actually made a post on this too on my page. Um, you can go to CEOAshon at CEOAshon. You can go see it there because it's I see transparency moment.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing I actually talked about was comparing myself, because like when you're competitive, you compare. Like you can't be competitive if you're not comparing, because the point of being competitive is to be like um a good match, a fight. You want to be better. You want to win. That's the competitive spirit. In order for you to win, you have to be better. In order for you to be better, you have to know what better is. You have to know what good and bad is, and all that stuff. So because I'm so competitive, I'm also very highly comparing in comparison to like other people, whether it's good or bad. So when I first started trading options, I wasn't surrounded by enough people that were actually, doing like anything as like close to what I was doing. So I'm thinking, all right, cool, I'm doing good. Let me keep this up, boom, just keep rolling with it. And once I saw, and that was helping me increase at a certain pace.
Right.
But when I started seeing other people that were also in my space that were also doing the same thing or better, I said I got to step it up, because like I'm thinking $1,000 a day was like insane. Then
Man,
I
I'm
met somebody
thinking
that
a
made ten
thousand dollars a
thousand.
day is insane. So I'm right there with you.
I'm thinking, I'm like, yo, that's crazy. I can't wait to get to that. And
Right.
then I saw somebody make 100,000 in a day. And then I saw somebody actually that blew my mind. He did 1 million in a day,
Man.
like in one day from the options. And then I think somebody else I know somebody else that did 4 million. Like it's like levels to it. But it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's the same thing. Like that's what like hedge funds, Wall Street, they're doing the same thing. They've lost, actually, matter of fact, when the GameStop thing happened where it shot up crazy, and people, and it was like short sellers were trying to come in and they were
Mm-hmm.
trying to buy it back up and force the price up. Once they bought it up, they lost billions of dollars. Like that means they're using billions of dollars to trade with other people's money to trade and do that stuff. That's off of one stock. That's not even, there's thousands. That's
Right.
one example where you lost billions of dollars. I'm like, yo, they're trading with millions, billions of dollars per trade. If they're doing most of that, like that's insane. So once I understood that, I'm like, yo, there's levels to it. Like $1,000 a day is baby money. Like that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, yo, that's light. I got to get to 10,000, 100,000, because that's where it's kind of sparked me. Like, all right, how do I get to that?
Mm-hmm.
What are they doing to get to that? That's why that's actually helped me grow. But it also kind of kept me in a state of, because I'm so competitive, I'm always like, oh, I'm not doing good enough. That's where I kind of had to change, because I was like, dang, I'm not good. I'm doing, because I'm doing $1,000 a day and they're doing 10. I'm not as good as them. That's the kind of mindset that I had, and then I kind of transitioned out of it, saying, all right, cool. If they're doing $10,000 a day, instead of asking, dang, they're doing 10,000, and I'm getting jealous, I'm asking why. How are they doing 10,000?
Right.
How are they doing that? Why are they doing this? Like, what are they doing? Who are they studying? Who are they working under? Who is their mentor? What do they study? What is their strategy? Do they scout? Do they swing trade? Do they day trade? Like asking questions. And the more questions you, and this is another note for people that want to get into trading, this will literally set you up for success. If you stop asking questions as a trader, you will lose. Period. You will
Mm-hmm.
lose. if you stop asking questions. The reason is, like, the reason I enter trades now is I ask myself, what is the market doing? Is it bearish? Is it bullish? Bullish and bearish means bullish is green or it's going up. Bearish is down when because it's going down. Bullish, basically, bullish, it's called bullish and bearish because it's bulls and bears.
Mm-hmm.
Bulls strike up when they attack, so it's up green, and bears strike down, and that's why it's called bearish. So if the market's going down and you hear somebody say the market's just bearish, that means the market is going down or it's red. And if you see the market's bullish and it's going up, then it's going up, it's green. But going back to my point, I'm basically just, I was in a thing where it's like, all right, cool, they're doing this much, I want to get to that point. So what are they doing? So when I'm in my trading strategy now, I literally just ask a whole bunch of questions, and that actually how I actually made my strategy, because I asked so many questions. I'm like, all right, if this happens, then what? If this happens, then what? Because I wanted to remove my emotions out of the market as much as possible, because emotions will kill you in the market. Because if you're thinking with here and not thinking with here, you're gonna, the market, and some people that like want to trade and you'll get into it too. Like if you get my course and you go through it and you learn it and you actually try to get into the market, you'll realize quickly the market is set up to make you lose. It is set up that way. And if you don't understand the way in which it's about to make you lose, you're gonna lose too. Like for me, I studied. I'm gonna give y'all something too to look up. It's called Wyckoff method, and if you look that up, it's gonna, and also look up the composite man. Those are, it's a Wyckoff method basically it's a trading strategy that allows you to look at supply and demand areas. Basically, that just means where people are buying, where people are selling. That it just allows you to see that in a better picture, but it allows you to see what phases the market is in, because the market has like a set amount of phases that it does, and it allows you to see that on different scales. And I normally don't even talk about that, but I'm just gonna, just for your viewers that want to listen to it, just look that up, and then that'll actually help you give an example. Also look up composite man. The market, and it basically teaches that the market is set up in a way to make retail traders fail, because most traders are thinking with this. They're thinking, what, I think it's going to go up. I think it's going to go down. I think it's going to do this. I think it's going to do that, because of, I think it's just going to do that. They don't ask enough questions to understand why it's about to do that. So for me, I ask so many questions, because usually, like I said before, I don't like doing things traditionally. And traditionally, traders lose. 80%, 90% of traders lose. There's only a good amount that actually like are super successful, and they're actually, doing really well trading, because they actually got to a place where their mindset towards the market shifted. And that's kind of where I got there quickly, and why I'm like super blessed that I'm able to like, see the market in a certain way that allows me to break it down and ask a lot of questions, so I can understand, all right, what is the market doing? Because think about it, if you don't ask questions, you don't get answers.
Right.
So if you're like, all right, cool, I think it's going to do this, but if you didn't ask a question, you're making a statement of what it's going to do. That's when you're thinking with this and you're not thinking with this. Because if you ask questions, you get an answer, and your answer determines what you do. So if I say, all right, cool, is it approaching a support or resistance level? Support is basically like if you see the market going up, down, and it hits a kind of a floor, like a bottom, and then it bounces back up and goes up. That bottom is support. If it has a ceiling, that top level that it hits and then goes back down, that's resistance, because it's resisting going above that. And support, it just allows it to support, to bounce off of it, basically. So think of support and resistance as a floor and a ceiling. But if it approaches my support and that it had previously, because it recently hit that price, went up, came back down, and it's about to hit that again, is it about to hit the support? So I'm asking that question, and the answer will show in the market. The market will tell me, all right, it's about to bounce off the support right here. Okay, cool. It's bouncing off support. Once it gets to this level, I'm entering. Cool. I'll enter. It goes back up again. And then if it comes back down and I'm starting to see that, I sell.
If you
I
had,
wouldn't have that answer if I didn't ask a certain question. That's why when I actually did my research and stuff like that, I actually put that, like I really packaged it. I packaged too much stuff into my course and mentorship, because I spent like, I think actually I forgot to tell you this too. I spent like 5 figures now on
on
courses and
courses.
mentorship, conferences and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
just to learn how to master this. Because there's so much there's so many, because I want perspectives. Like there's so many different, I have like 4 different mentors. that have different trading strategies, but all the trading strategies are working for them. So I'm trying to figure out, all right, what are they all doing and what do they all have in common? All of them have in common is they're asking questions. They're trying to figure out what the market's actually doing. They're not trying to just guess. They're like, all right, cool. This is what's happening, so I'm gonna do this. This is what happened. This is what I'm gonna do this. So I'm taking all of that. I kind of took all that and put into my course and put into my strategy, and that's kind of like the basis of what I teach because I don't want you to make $1,000 in a day. I want you to make if I'd rather you make if you make I'd rather you make $100 every single day consistently than make $1,000 in one day and then 600 the next day.
Mm-hmm.
That's me personally. Because if you do 1,000 one day and lose 600 the next day and then make 200 the next day and then lose 100 the next day and then you make 300 like you're inconsistent.
Up and
And
down,
there's
yeah.
nothing wrong with you losing a certain losing and stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. But consistency is what got me here.
Mm-hmm.
3 figures to 5 figures, that came from consistent. That didn't come from like, oh, I took huge wins and huge loss. No, because I'm break even. If I take $1,000 win and $1,000 loss, I'm at zero again. I ain't making any money. Most people think, oh, it's all about you're once you get into it, you're just making money. No, you have to practice. Like right now, I'm at like I forgot what it was. Like my last win rate in terms of like win percentage, it's like 60 or 70, maybe 80. I'm probably pushing it with 80, probably something like that. But it's like it's more than 50%
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like, all right, cool. 50 meaning like, all right, if I do 100 trades, if it's 70%, 70 of my trades are gonna be profitable, and then
Mm-hmm.
the other 30 are gonna be losses. But majority of my wins are profitable. That's where I'm at right now, and that's because I teach and I've learned from my mentors and stuff like that in general to be consistent. I don't care how much you make. So that's why another thing I'm like they're making $10,000 in a day, but if someone's making $10,000 a day, but they lose 6,000 the
Right.
next, or then 3,000 the next, and something like that, you're back at 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
you can do 10,000 consistently, that's what makes you like good. So this like right now I'm doing 1,000 a day, about 1,000 a day. I'm trying to consistently do it like repetitively. I'm doing pretty well right now, but I'm trying to get my account to a point where I can do consistently $10,000 a day.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I can consistently do it, I replace like any income that I had. Like literally, I'm just replacing all of it. Like right now, I'm looking at I'm actually about to get a new place in Atlanta and a new car and stuff like that. Like I'm trying to figure out how much that costs. It costs me like for all of those things, both of those things, I think it's probably gonna be like 2,500 or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
like a month. I'm like, all right, cool. If I can make 2,500 a day in the market,
Then you're good.
like
You
thinking
good.
about it like that, I'm like, yo, I don't gotta worry about anything.
Yeah.
Cause that's like what, 10-20% of my account, and I could just take that out. And if I do take it out, I had to calculate the tax out of it too. Cause when I took out money, I took out about 8,000, 9,000 recently to pay for the Circle CEOs conference and a down payment for my mentorship, for my 10K mentorship. So I spent like 7,500,
Mm-hmm.
like about 2 weeks. About that was about 2 weeks ago. For that, I had to take out money from my account, and that kind of cut how much I would be making now, and I had to like grow that back up, and grow that back up because I didn't have as much money in there as I did
Mm-hmm.
before. So I actually just transferred some money that I made from Black Friday into my trading account so I can run that up too. And I'm also gonna give your people a plan that I'm about to do, but I'm not gonna recommend them to do it until like after a couple months. But like when I took that money out, I had to take money out for taxes and stuff like that too, and I had to calculate how much is that going to be. And I actually did some research too, and I found out that I can actually I'm gonna file this for myself this next upcoming year. I'm gonna file for there's something called TTS, which
Mm-hmm.
is Trader Tax Status, and M2M, which is marked to market. So those two, if you apply for those two things, you can be taxed as a trader because trading is basically a business essentially
Mm-hmm.
because you're putting money in, getting money out. It's literally a business. So the IRS looks at it as a business. So they're like, all right, cool. If this is an actual business that you're doing in terms of trading and stuff like that, we're gonna tax you as such, and we're gonna allow you to actually treat it like a business where you actually do write-offs. So now I'm looking into doing like a filing for that. Once I file for that and I get approved and I'm classified as a trader,
Yeah.
and I don't need like a business or anything. They're just going to look at me that way when I submit my taxes. So when I submit my taxes from trading, If I have, like, for example, let's say I have 100,000 in there, and let's say I liquidate 500,000. I take out 550,000 from there. I take out 50,000. If I was not followed under those things, I have to pay whatever um, the tax bracket is for that, which is like 20-30%, something like that,
Mm-hmm.
on that money. Or I have to put into like a foundation or something, and I could write that off too, and basically say, all right, that was a donation to this company. I can
Right.
write off that and then keep the rest of it for myself. That's just two ways. But when I'm actually taxed as a trader, like the TTS, like I told you about trader tax status, it allows me to write things off like an actual business. So I can write off. I'll just give you a list because I don't even think I can remember everything. And this was off of like one thing that I researched. I can write off. I can write off monitors, computers, desks, keyboard, all that stuff. Anything that I
Yeah.
use to trade, I
Yep.
can write it off. I can write off my room. So the office space that I use to do my trading, I
Mm-hmm.
can write that off. So depending on my rent or my mortgage, I can write that off based on the square foot of the house or the apartment that I'm in. So I can write
Wow.
off that section that I used to trade. I can also write off my phone bill because if I have another phone, if I have one phone, I can write off up to 80% of it because I can say 80% of it I'm using to use my
Mm-hmm.
stock market, trading view, all my stock platforms. So I can say it's 80% business use. I can write off 80% of my phone, or I can get another phone and write off 100% of it. So I can
Right.
just get a whole another free phone. So I can have one phone I'm paying for and have another one that's free. So I can do it like that. I can also write off cable because I can get free. I have to watch CNBC to trade because I can see what the
Yeah.
market's doing watching the
Research. Research.
off TV. I can write off my internet, my Wi-Fi, anything I need because I need that to trade. If I get an Ethernet cable or I want Ethernet to my thing, I can write that off too because I need that to get faster trades. If I have a trading platform that I'm using on, like TradingView, it's a really good trading platform that allows you to watch the market and stuff like that. The max that you can pay for like the highest level thing is like $60 a month. I can write that off too because it's a trading platform that I'm using to do my stuff. If I have another website or something like that that I use to research companies that I have to pay for, I can write that off too. If I'm using a certain trading platform and there's fees associated every single month with paying for the platform, I can write that off. There's also something called custodial fees. So when you actually buy a trade, when I buy an options contract, I have to pay like a small fee of commission to the broker to execute that trade. So I can write. So I'll just give you an example. Let's say I buy a $1,000 contract. The custodial fees might be $10 to 10, 20, 30, maybe up to 100, something like that in custodial fees just to execute that trade. So if I'm doing multiple of those a year, that can be like a couple 100,000. If you get up there, it might be like high thousands. So I can write that off.
Man, it's a
I can
full
write off the
business.
custodial fees, so I don't have to pay so even if I have to pay, I can write it off on my taxes. Like
Thank you for watching the Ridiculously Blessed podcast. Find more episodes on YouTube at Ridiculously Blessed Podcast.
I'm finding all this stuff out, but I didn't get that. I found that out through research.
Right. So,
Just putting like, but I asked questions though, because I'm like, all right, I know I can write stuff off. What can I write off? I'm gonna start. I went on YouTube. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna find these videos on how to write stuff off. They gave me a list of things that write off and what they can do. And actually, there was a video of the CPA telling me what you can write off. I can also write off vacations. If I
mhm,
want to go on vacation, and let's say I have a business vacation, or I'm trading out there, I can say, all right, I'm about to go here on Friday, and it's actually called wrapping a weekend. You
mhm,
can go there. You can on Friday have your little event, trade on that day, whatever, do your work or business, or you're meeting up with a client or something like that, so you can both trade or you can teach them how to trade, whatever, for one day, and then Saturday and Sunday, all your expenses from Saturday and Sunday can be written off on your taxes for the IRS for
wow.
staying, for lodging, for flight, for your meals, for travel expenses, for your car, whatever you need to do out there for Saturday and Sunday is written off. And when you go back Monday, that's written off too. Because the IRS says when you get there on Friday, you kind of need to stay there for Saturday and Sunday and then go back Monday. So we're not going to charge you for that if it's a
Mhm,
business purpose, if it's business purposes. So trading is a business, so it's a business purpose. So you can write that off. So
man.
I don't got so that whole weekend I can just travel, trade, and go meet up with somebody, help them trade, write that off, and say, all right, cool, I did this. So Friday, cool. Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, I'm chilling. I can do
Sure.
whatever I want, travel, all that stuff, and it's paid for, and I can write it off.
Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. So now the last
That's a
thing,
few.
one of the things that you mentioned is now you teaching. So let the audience know where they can find information on your course.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm teaching right now. Actually, the youngest student that I have is 14. He's the youngest student that I have, and I have a few adults too. The highest that I have is kind of like adults too.
Mhm.
But my thing, like the reason I made the course was for young adults and teenagers to understand it. I'm saying the reason I have like he was 14. If I say if you can understand this, then no adult can come to me and say I don't understand, because if a child like if a young teenager is 13, 14, barely had any schooling or anything like that, and you're and someone as an adult that went to college, all that stuff,
Mhm.
if he can understand it, then pretty much everybody else can understand it. So that was my priority of making the course, to making it simple as possible but effectively teaching you what you need to do to actually start trading. So if you want to find that, it's you can go to options trading universe options trading blueprint.com,
Mhm.
options trading blueprint.com, options with an S, trading blueprint.com, and then you can just get it there too.
All right. And be sure guys to go to his page. Make sure you follow, get this information while he's throwing out there. So before you leave, one thing that we do here on Ridiculously Blessed, we don't talk about success and failures. We talk about blessings or lessons. So
Mm,
anytime that someone fails at something, it's a lesson. So tell me, what's one of the main lessons that stick out in your mind that you've been through?
that's a good question. The biggest lesson: be more confident in yourself than in other people. The reason I say that, the biggest loss that I had in one trade was about 3,800. I was in one trade. I lost 3,800. I was hot. I
Natural,
was like
man.
3,800. I was like, dang. And that was in like a few minutes too. I was down like 3,800. And the reason that happened was because I took information from somebody else. They said, "Oh, you should get into that." I didn't do my due diligence. I didn't, chart it. I didn't do any of that stuff. I just took somebody's word for it and did it. And I also didn't have my risk management in place in terms of my stop losses and stuff.
Mhm.
And I know I'm supposed to have that, and I just did it because I didn't listen to what I know was supposed to, like what I was supposed to do.
Right.
So when you get into it, I really like, because like there's nothing wrong with like calls and stuff like that too. Because like some people like make a lot of money from just hearing what other people are doing and just copying it.
Mhm.
But also something else to realize too, like in the market things happen this quickly. So if somebody posted, that means they made the trade already. Then they got to go to the thing and tell you to post. You have to see it, open it, and go through the post, and then you got to find the contract that they're doing, and then buy the contract. In that time, the whole play could be different.
Mhm.
The entire thing could be different. So like call outs are not like the best thing, because it's like, yo, you don't know how to, and that's another thing. Like this is a quote that I like live by as a trader, and I teach this in my course too. Like teach him, give a man a fish, he eats for a day, but teach a man how to fish, he eats for life. So my thing is teach you how to fish, because I don't want you coming back. I just want you to be able to trade and do you, and I'm gonna do me trading too. Cause like that's why people get my course now, because they're like, it costs this much, but what he don't need it because he's gonna do it anyway, because he's focused on him and building him. And that's what I want for all of my students to do too. Because you
Mhm.
don't have to, like I ask people too, like, would you rather, how much would you spend if I could teach you how to do $1,000 a day, or a couple $100 a day, $1,000 a day, from a skill set that you can learn for yourself? And they're saying like, yo, I paid 5,000, 10,000, something
Mhm.
like that. Cause like you can make that back in like 2 weeks,
Right.
a month, something like that. Like literally just make that back, all of it, if you spend it. And now I'm like, all right, cool. Well, my course right now as it stands, it's 997. That's what the course is priced at. It's
Mhm.
997. It was at 297, and I kept upping it by the testimonials of people making $1,000 in a day. So that's the
Right.
reason why I said 9.
Exactly.
It was at 297, and I kept increasing it. The more testimonials I got from people, that's how much I increased it. I increased it by like 100 each time, something
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm.
So I'm probably gonna increase it again, but I might just keep it at 1,000 just in case, just to leave it be, and now create a different course. Actually, I'm actually coming up with something too newer. Um, this New Year's, I'm coming up with something too. I'm making a new course, and I'm dropping a mentorship where you can work with me for. It's gonna be premium,
Mm-hmm.
but if you want to work with me and learn everything that I'm doing right now and get the information that I have from my mentors and from my learning, then that's something I'm also going to release too. It's probably going to be a group mentorship and not one on one, just so I can service more people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like my priority is just making sure you're consistent. Like that's the only thing. I don't care how much you make. I care how much you're consistently making. That's the thing for me, because that's how I got to where I am, not because of how much I'm making, but how long I can do it repetitively over a certain period of time.
Right. Right. All right. The second part of that question is, what's the biggest blessing that you have right
The big blessing, um, it's gotten me like on these amazing podcasts like this. Like I've been asked to, do podcasts. I've been asked to, um, like teach people's kids. Like
now?
literally, actually, matter of fact, like actually, I haven't really put this out too much, but there was actually somebody actually helped quit their job. Actually,
Right.
like he quit his job after he got through the course. He went through it, he started making some money with it, and then he said he quit his job, and it hit me more. And actually, I think I started tearing up a little bit because I was like, I just helped somebody quit their job,
Yeah.
and he was like a grown man too. I was like, I helped him quit his job. I was almost like in tears because I'm like, yo, I just helped somebody do that. That just, I think that was the final thing that made it go to 9.97 actually, because it
Mhm.
was actually a little cheaper than that. I think it was at like 4.97, something like that. And after that, I'm like, I just helped somebody change their life. I'm upping it because there's too much value in teaching somebody a whole new skill set that can replace everything. Because right now at 18, like the fact that I'm doing this now is insane because like I'm about to be in the top. I think I'm at the top 1% of my age group, and I'm in a whole new tax bracket now because of this. And the fact that I have this information in my head, people are willing to pay that because people want that skill set too. And also, I can connect with so many different people and also entrepreneurs that are also like me that are also doing things too. Like I have a friend, like I replaced. Oh, that's another thing too. When I was getting into entrepreneurship, I went from 20 friends to two, then to zero, like back then. And then
Right.
I spent all that time not talking to anybody and focusing on me. Once I got to a level like that, I was like really good and like I was really like on my stuff. Then I went to conference. I actually moved out to Atlanta in July, and I replaced all those friends with people that are either doing 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures, like, and I just replaced all of them with people that I want to be around that's going to help me grow. And that's probably the biggest blessing because like the fact that I can say, all right, I have a friend that's 19 and he has an 820 credit score, and I also have a friend that's doing 6 figures with his clothing brand, and I can also say someone else is doing $10,000 a day in options, and he's been doing it for 3 4 years, and he's in his 20s. I'm like that's different. I have a friend that's in Airbnb and he's doing 10K a month with that. Well, no, 11K, my bad. 11K a month with that. Like the biggest blessing is being surrounded because I realized I'm not alone
Mm-hmm.
because it was lonely, like being like dropping that many friends and just focusing on you is lonely.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that I have people that's in my circle that I can talk to and grow with and also share information with and help other people with, that's the biggest blessing to me.
There you go. There you go. Man. Telling you, man, I learned a lot today, bro. I learned a lot. And I think, like, seriously, if you're out there and you want to get into options, this is where you go. I told you, I had a conversation when we were playing golf at Top Golf, and I was like, whoa, this brother blew me away, man. How do you do that at 18? But again, man, if you want to get into options, this is the man to go to. So, Ashon, appreciate you being on today, man. I'm gonna definitely invite you back. We'll have you come back. I know people are gonna reach out to you and try to support. So, anytime you have something going on, man, let me know, and I'd love to have you back to talk about that too.
Definitely, of course. I'm so glad you invited me. I appreciate the opportunity. So grateful. Appreciate it.
All right, everybody, follow CEOAshon on Instagram. And again, thank you for watching the Ridiculously Blessed podcast with your host, Tim Jackson. And keep looking out for more videos. Thank you.